Deep in the ocean, an orca pod is on the hunt. But these aren't your average orcas. These guys are organized.
Marketing team, did you get those social media posts scheduled for the SEAL migration?
Aye, Captain. We even have an automated notification for all pod managers when they go live.
They use Monday.com to keep their teamwork sharp, their communication clear, and their goals in sight. Monday.com. For whatever you run, even orcas. Go to Monday.com to dive deeper.
Well, I don't see the point in waiting any longer. So let's bring her out. The star attraction, the one you came to see. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Miss Judy Gold.
You went to Fordham and you studied. Did you live at home?
I did.
Of course, because you're Italian.
And poor. Who had no money.
And you became a radio host. You at
I
Fordham.
went to Fordham
because your voice is fucking
But that's not why
beautiful
I did
for
it.
radio.
I was going to go become an art therapist. I was going to become a teacher and work with kids and maybe work with them with art
It's
therapy.
never too late.
Now, well,
That's what my mother was. Judith, my father used to be, when are you getting a teaching degree? Whatever.
well, I couldn't afford a lot of schools. And they had to be local because I couldn't sleep away. So I went to Fordham, and they took me into this it's a big castle, the big Keating Hall, the big centerpiece of the university. And so there's 4 corridors that shape a square around a center, spire. One of the corridors on one of the floors was dedicated solely to WFUV, the college radio station.
Yes, we used to listen to.
Open the door.
I don't know if people realize that the Fordham radio station. I mean, I grew up in New Jersey. Everyone, that was the fucking coolest radio. Everyone listened to it.
50,000 watts, which was the maximum you could have. It was as powerful as any major radio station. All student run when I was there.
Yes.
All student run. My friend Paul Cavalcanti, who is here at this very inn, who you met last night, he's the first person I met on my first day at school at Fordham University. We are still friends many decades later. I won't tell you how many. But anyway, that radio station just changed. I went, wait, I could be on the radio? And they said, because the radio was like this other land where magical people learned how to connect to the universe and their voices came out of a box.
Just through their words and their voice.
Yeah,
Nothing,
I didn't know how it happened. I didn't know how you actually
You're so
got
good
to
at
make
it.
that
You're
happen.
so good at it.
And that's when I started to go to the theater because I became the arts editor at Fordham, and I found out.
So did you get free tickets? Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Free tickets. So I would take the Ram van because they're
Free.
free.
Jubel gets free.
Their mascot was the Ram, and it was the Fordham Rams football team. So for P.S., everybody I went to college with, and when I say college, I mean the radio station, because I lived there.
Yeah.
It was my dorm. I was there every day of the week. The guy I did the Tuesday night evening news with, Dick Brennan, is a Fox newscaster.
We'll take that away.
Oh, okay. Well,
Fox
it's not
News.
local, but the local
okay.
Fox, not the big network. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
the local channel, whatever the local is. And then, Mike Breen worked on Imus for years, and Michael Kay, the voice of the Yankees.
Yeah. That was the school.
Oh, yeah.
And that, I remember being at Rutgers and listening. That was the coolest radio station to
And
listen
it
to.
had the morning, pop music show, then the classical show in the afternoon.
Can I tell you, the music at night was like the
rock block.
The rock.
It was the
Yes.
rock block. It was called.
fucking awesome.
You have to have Paul in your show because he will make you laugh.
Okay.
So then they had the ethnic shows like Bill Shabilsky's Polka Party. And what is it? Eastern Sounds with belly dancing music. That's what it was like. The country music. They had the Irish show.
Yes.
All
you
Saturday
knew
and Sunday was
if you
Irish
got
stuff.
in someone's car and they had that station on, you knew that they were cool. I'm not kidding. That was a cool.
Oh, it's so nice to hear that.
That I'm telling
and
you.
so I played show tunes there for the first time. That's where it sort of started. I started going to the theater, getting really interested in the theater.
Did you study? You were in this communications program, and you had done theater in high school, but were you studying musical theater?
No, I didn't even know you could. As a matter of fact, I did one show with a friend. We did side by side by Sondheim, probably totally illegally, and that was the only show I did. And I had interviewed Charles Strauss, and it was on a cassette, kids a cassette. Anyway, what I did is I gave my mother my cassette player and a blank cassette. I said, could you record the side by side by Sondheim? She did, but she didn't put the blank cassette in.
Oh God!
So she recorded over my Charles Strauss interview.
No,
It's a legendary night amongst my friends because I had a certified nervous breakdown, and then I went to a party and they didn't have anything to drink other than beer, and I don't drink beer, so I drank that Jewish wine.
Manischewitz?
Yeah.
Ugh.
It was so awful, but that's all
Did
they
you
had.
puke?
I don't remember
Because
much
it's
more
so
after
it's
that.
all full of
terrible.
sugar.
And then I started going to a community theater. I started not going to. I when I graduated, I thought I'd try community theater. And
You worked at the March of Dimes.
I temped the first
Yeah.
6 months to a year
Same.
looking for something. And then I landed at the March of Dimes as a temp in one department. I heard they had a telethon, so I went downstairs and inquired, and they were looking for somebody. So I worked for them for a year because I didn't like it. I loved my
course
boss. He was
not.
sweet. My
Yeah.
boss was like Edward Everett Horton in all the
Yeah.
Fred Astaire movies. He was a sweet, dear, lovely man. But I didn't like the work. But
Right.
I
of
thought
course
I'll
not.
stay
And all
a
you
year.
want to do is like, okay, once I leave here, I can live my life.
Right.
Yeah.
And I
Which I think
got to go to California, though, with them because the
that's
telethon
nice.
was in
Oh.
California. That's where I got to meet my cousin Tom Petty, the wonderful actor.
that's what I want to get to. Yes.
Yeah, and so I wanted to leave really right away, but I couldn't. I needed the money. And if I waited a year, I'd get dental.
Yeah.
So I had all my wisdom teeth pulled a year after I got a year to the day when the dental kicked in, all 4 in one visit.
Wow.
And then I didn't have the balls to quit for another year. You know?
Okay.
But I
What's
was-
done is done. We're not going to.
I know. So then that's how I met my cousin Tom Petty.
So it's your grandfather's first cousin or your grandmother's first
It was
cousin?
my grandmother's first cousin.
Tom Petty, who was an actor who was in many
He was
films.
the original Harry the Horse and Guys and Dolls
Guys
on
and Dolls,
Broadway. He was
yep.
in the original Death of a Salesman on Broadway.
Yes.
The real big one is The Iceman Cometh. You can
Yes.
see him he did the Broadway play. Eugene O'Neill cast him before anybody.
It's
He has
amazing.
letters from Eugene O'Neill, and I took him up
He's
to the...
very handsome. I looked him up, and he's
he's
just
a very
good looking.
character guy.
Yeah.
A sweet, beautiful, honest, beautiful,
And had
warm
you
face.
heard about him?
Oh, yes.
When you were growing up,
Because he was on some television shows, Arnie, which was a very short-lived
yes,
little
yes.
Herschel Bernardi
Yes.
thing, and he had a couple of little cameos here and there on like Mary Tyler Moore.
Oh, yeah.
He played Lou Grant's bookie, and then Ted Grant wants to play some
Ted Baxter.
Ted Baxter, sorry, wants to. Who's Ted Grant? Anyway, Ted Baxter wants to. Place some bets, and apparently Tom. Now I don't know this line. People tell me his lines. Okay, his line was, "But Lou, every time he places a bet, he goes the fruits, the something of gambling, bear bitter fruit." You know what I mean? and so this guy, some theater person,
Right.
journalist, he kept on reciting that to me. Jackie Hoffman remembers his episode of Night Gallery called Spiders. Patrick O'Neill plays a man who's petrified of spiders. So Tom is the super who comes in and says, this is Jackie Hoffman reciting to me,
Yes.
if this is the way you feel about spiders, how would you react to a cockroach? and he's also in Taking Pelham 1, 2, 3, and he's the first guy
yes.
who gets killed.
Oh,
he
wow.
goes walking down the subway platform to get those bastards off his
Right.
off his train. And he was a very righteous, wonderful, generous, loving, sweet, quirky old guy.
So
You know.
in the 1950s, I'm just going to explain this to everyone. He was blacklisted. He was a veteran. He served in World War II.
Oh, yeah.
He was a true American, but he had
Conscientious objector.
Yes, he was a conscientious objector. He had communist sympathies, and he was obviously part of the, accused of un-American activities, which, if I can
me.
think of one fucking person
Yeah.
who is consistently involved in un-American, that would be Donald fucking Fuck. So, which, by the way, I want to say, I'm a comic, so that's what the
you're
owner.
allowed.
We're here at the Anchor Inn, which is a beautiful place here in Provincetown. But the
Stunning.
mother of the owner doesn't like me because I bashed Trump, and she's old fashioned and she likes different kind. And I said, but you know what? I'm a nice person. She said, yes, I've heard that, but she, I knew that when I came here today to interview you
okay.
that she and I
Is she
kinda,
around?
Yeah, she was downstairs,
okay.
and I was talking to her. I said, I'm Judy Gold, and she goes, oh. So
Yeah, but you know what I say, Judy? I say, my friend Vinny, I like Trump, and I'm doing this wonderful satirical review over at Birdland,
Yes.
called Everybody Rise, which is funny stuff.
Yes, we're
but
gonna
you
talk about
can't.
it, yeah.
So, but
look how we're whispering.
oh, I don't know. You started with. Oh, I know why you were. So
yeah, I was whispering. No, but I
can
just
talk.
realized. Oh my God, we're like so afraid. It's like fuck you.
But it's true.
You have a guy who's in show business who likes Trump.
Oh yeah, and he's gay. And I said,
No.
But I said, you know what? I said, you know something, Vinny? Here's what it is. Basically, if you were president, you'd have my back, and if I were president, I'd have your back. And so I basically know we're good people. If the bomb landed and we have to live on our wits and our, we'd all get along. So I have to just know that going into any conversation with anybody.
And I am writing this book. I'm almost done with my book. How we have fought, especially comics, to get the truth out. Satirists, to get the fucking truth out, to have someone who blatantly lies, who puts people in harm's way, whose ego is more important. There is no excuse. He doesn't give a shit about LGBTQ people. Yeah.
People have to pay attention to the comics because you're not thinking about what a comic is innately. A comic is an observer.
Oh,
okay?
and a social commentator.
They're observing, and if there's an irony, if there's a hypocrisy,
yeah.
it's good for a joke. Okay, so it's not that you're making them up out of thin air necessarily. I think probably
they're based in
a
fact.
perfect world, you're looking for it out there in the world. You're not conjuring up.
And the
there
reason,
are some, but most of you guys are observers and trying to.
Oh, of course, of human behavior.
Of human behavior, and it's there's truth in it. There's truth in it. The core of it, it's absolute, authentic, and true. When
and
you're
yet
watching.
we get vilified, and this one fucking says whatever he wants. But I mentioned that because I wanted to say, in your show that I saw last evening, which was fantastic, you're very neutral about Trump. And
would you like to know why? Because 2 years ago, I sang a song called "Facts" that Joe Keenan wrote, with music by by Brad Ross, and it was on his Twitter feed, and I liked it. I listened to it and I liked it, and I said, "Boy, I'd love to sing this song." And Joe Keenan, who was a writer for Frasier for many years, tweeted back and said, "I'd love you to sing it." We became friends. I got the song and I sang it here. And it's like, remember facts, those pesky little things that used to matter. And then it goes on to say, remember news, how if you saw it on the news, it might be true, but now your news is your news and my news is my news. And remember, like when you used to be ashamed, if you lies, remember lies.
Right.
How, when somebody told a lie, you'd be like, but they lied.
Right.
And
it mattered.
That's not gonna exactly. Yeah. So I sang the song here. And I know for a fact that Joe Keenan wrote it to be nonpartisan because some sides more than others, but we do tend to.
Oh, please, they all lie. Yeah.
Right. So these two gentlemen came up to me. And look, I was grateful that they came to my show. I really am. Every ass in that seat matters.
Yes.
It's a part of
but
your
know
life.
who
it's
you're
a part
coming
of
to
your
see,
day.
too.
Well, they said, we're very upset, Christine, because we thought we were in a safe place. And I said, I'm so. Oh
my God! I have a whole thing of my act
to yourself, and I went,
"Fuck you."
Okay, I said, "All right," and they walked away, but then they came back and they said, "We're very upset. We thought we were seeing Christine Pedi, and we were in a safe place." And I said, "Well, I'm so sorry." And they said, I said, "Why?" I didn't get political. They said that song.
But that's how they interpreted it.
And then I wouldn't let them go. Oh, I wouldn't let him go. I said, I have to tell you that this was written, and I can tell you that it was written to be nonpartisan. I had meetings with the writer. We talked about it on the phone, that this was the goal. And he said, no, it's about Republicans. I said, why would you say that? Because you were talking about facts.
So there you go. There you fucking go.
They made me think a little bit, because again, I have to respect everybody's opinion as to what they choose to bring to the stage. Like Martin Short and Steve Martin, I heard Marty say on, I call him Marty, I worked with him, but he said on one of the late night shows, somebody brought up the fact that they don't bring in politics at all.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't have to bring in politics. You can talk about gardening or your kids or menopause or whatever. And I thought, well, I have to think about this. I'll be goddamned if I'm not going to say how I feel about something. But I have to decide whether I need to on certain occasions or not. That's all.
Yes,
Just
you can pick and choose.
Essential.
But you were very neutral. You did a song from the new show, Everybody Rise, which sounds like it's going to be fantastic.
Oh, God, it's unbelievable.
And it was not...
Well, I said it's not political. It's about marriage.
Right. And
it's about Melania.
It's about Melania. And it that song, did you see the audience?
I was.
It was like a release.
It was
like
that's what's so great about this show. It's a release. It is. It's like the steam, the tea kettle finally gets to whistle.
Yes.
You know, and people come up to us. We've done it twice at Birdland. Richard Kind
love
did
him.
it. The people who are going to do it as special guests include Chip Zien, Brad Oscar, Ding Ding, Liz Calloway. I don't think so.
No.
Who else? Jason Robert Brown, Ann Harada.
I love her.
Just
Judy Gold.
They're all gonna. You want to sing we have a song for you.
Really? I'll do
You
it
have
in
to
2
be-
seconds.
You have to be available on one of the night. The one
Okay,
night
but
we
I'm an
figure out.
alto.
We can talk about it. Yeah, I am
Okay.
too.
Your fucking voice
so
is beautiful.
People came up and said, "We need to see this again. We need to see this again."
It's
And the title is
So
a bit,
needed.
militant. Everybody rise, a resistance cabaret. Fear not.
But it makes me
It
think
is
of
lighthearted
It makes me
and-
think of Elaine.
Right,
Everybody.
exactly.
Can you do Elaine a little bit?
Lance Trich, sitting out on the deck. She's my favorite lesbian. Judy Gold.
Thank you, Elaine. I love you.
What do you got in the container there? Coffee or a little
No, I
something
don't.
to
It's
take the
just
edge off?
coffee.
All
It's
right.
just coffee.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Make another smart choice with Auto Quote Explorer to compare rates from multiple car insurance companies all at once. Try it at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
So you meet Tom Petty. Tom Petty, your
My blacklisted, wonderful.
uncle. I mean, cousin. Sorry, I said uncle. Who really inspired you to start this thing called Blacklist? It's a
Well, we did it. What happened was I went to Broadway Con, which is this big convention for Broadway the first year. And I said to them, would you be interested in something on the Blacklist? And I shit you not, they went, the person I spoke to said, I love that TV show.
oh yeah.
Okay, no, that's not what I
that's
mean.
yes.
Then I explained, and they said, sure. The next year, this was in January, so that the following November, the election happened, and the panel that I coordinated for Broadway Con happened in January. Now, it was important to me because I wanted people to remember this time in history. I am not a scholar on this time in history, but I know enough. I know all I need to know.
Right.
Okay. And I brought together Zero Mostel's son, Josh, Jack Guilford's son, Joe Guilford, Ring Lardner's daughter, Kate Lardner,
I'm just
a woman
making-
named Kate Draper. She was in the original Day in Hollywood.
Yes.
The wonderful Merle Dubusky, who was a press agent back in the day. Lee Grant, who was, I think, 89
Lee.
years old that time. And Joan Copeland, who was Arthur Miller's sister.
Was she related to Arthur Miller? Was
Arthur
she
Miller.
related to Aaron Copeland?
No, I think there are different Copelands because her brother's Arthur Miller, so I don't know.
Yeah, but could be an
But-
uncle.
So there we
Gay-
all were.
Gay Aaron
We go
Copeland.
into this huge room at the Javits Center, and
This is your idea.
right, my
Yeah.
idea. And my cousin Maria was Tom's niece, and she spent her childhood with him because this was the Long Island side of the family. We never met. And when Tom
Did
was in
he
New
ever
York-
marry?
That's another story. That might be for... Yeah, he did. I got to get to that.
Okay,
But anyway,
sorry.
so she had videos. She had interviewed him. And wonderful moments of him talking about the Blacklist. So we get in the room. And Lee Grant is like, God, I don't know about this. I hope people show up. And I'm like, oh, I hope so too. But what had happened was I was nervous that the young kids today wouldn't really connect or want to be motivated to come to the
Yes.
panel because they really didn't know what it was. The night before was the ban at the airports.
Oh,
Immigrant ban at the
wow.
airports.
Wow.
Okay. Now this shook everything up, and it just, as you know, agitated everyone to no end. So whether they came because of that or they just happened, I didn't have faith in the audience. All I can tell you is I was setting up the chairs on the dais, and it was very busy because you have very little turnaround time to get your stuff set up. I turn around, packed, and it was a huge room.
So necessary.
And we talked about everything. And Lee Grant is so articulate, still in her
beyond.
90s, so articulate.
And what a great sense of humor.
Oh, yeah. She's amazing.
She's amazing.
And so she we played Tom, which maybe I can get it for you. I have to find it. Talking about how he was blacklisted and he was on the set of a Jimmy Cagney movie, about to start, first day, and these corporate people are having a hubbub in the back, and they call him over and they say, "You're off the picture." And sadly, some of the people that were involved in this blacklist were venerated character actors like Ward Bond and Adolphe Menjou, and of course John Wayne and whatever. He made some great movies. The classic films. If you watch State of the Union, I'm going to do it in my next show. He plays a barber who gives Spencer Tracy a shave, and he has a whole monologue about why the White House and Congress is screwed up. Not enough women. Not enough women.
Wow.
Okay, it's great. And he does it with a broken accent.
Prescient.
And so I play Tom, his interview with my cousin, saying that these FBI people came to his house, his apartment in New York. They wanted him to name names. They wanted him to talk. And he said, "I will not." Now, this is a kind, gentle man. But his face changed.
Oh, wow.
And he said, "I'm an American. I have my rights, and you don't have to tell me what to believe. You don't tell me what to believe. I'm militant about that. I am a radical when it comes to that. I got my beliefs, and that's how I feel, and that's it." And I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it.
Oh, please.
Conscientious objector, but he still went to war. A medic, a friggin' medic.
Yes, and wouldn't carry a gun.
All right, wouldn't carry. That's what a conscientious objector wouldn't carry a friggin' gun. I mean, how much the balls that takes, the balls it takes to do that,
and the Constitution,
you got it
grit.
Right. To face the people
And
who back then,
and what he would be
unwavering. Accused of. He'd be accused of being, yellow or whatever.
Now, I have a question.
But anyway, when I played that clip,
yes,
Lee Grant stands up, gives him a standing ovation.
I love you, Lee Grant.
I do too.
Lives on the Upper West Side. Your parents first seeing you in a Broadway show.
Oh, well, I mean, they saw me in Little Me, but if you blinked, you missed me. Then they saw, they didn't see me in talk radio.
But
because
did you
I was
take
downstairs.
a bow? Did you take a bow at talk radio?
I did.
Okay.
I said they did.
Did they go crazy?
No, I don't think they didn't go crazy. No. My parents, I think, were always in shock that I did this, but my parents and I get along and that we have the same tastes. So they,
But weren't they so proud? And,
oh, yeah. I mean, of course. My parents were very proud and lovely, and I took them to everything. And
I love that.
But my Chicago story.
Were you
when I did Chicago,
Mama Morton.
I was Mama Morton. And what had happened is I had been offered the part, and they said, "Can you start in a week?" And I thought, yeah, and you know what? If I start in a week, I'll surprise my parents. But then they had to but they said, "But we made a mistake." It wasn't an official, I didn't have the paperwork or anything. And it took another 3 years. And then finally,
oh, hello, show business.
Yeah, exactly. I get offered it again, and they said, "Can you start in a week?" Rehearsals in a week, open 2 weeks from that, And I said, "Yeah." And I thought I could still surprise my parents. So I told my mother, "Hey, Ma, do you want to go see Chicago?" She went, "Oh, Daddy would love that play." And I said, "Well, Fran Weisler gave me some tickets," because I actually was supposed to be doing a benefit on my opening night on Broadway in Chicago. I was supposed to be at a benefit with Fran Weisler. So it wasn't quite a lie. So my two dear friends, Tom and Michael Dangora, they went with my parents, and they got to the theater the day before and got the old playbill that didn't have my name in it. And my friend Tom stood in front of the call board so she wouldn't see my name. Not that my mother would know to look at a call board. And before the show, and I think it's on my website somewhere, before the show, Michael came backstage and interviewed me in the dressing room and everything. And then he has a video of my... Oh, so then what happened is I come out as Mama Morton. So that's the first time my parents know I'm even in the show. Now, of course, I'm a little nervous because I adore Chicago. I had seen it at that point 18 times. So I had to perform in Chicago over 2 weeks before I'd been in it more times than I'd seen it.
Okay.
And so I was okay. I was in control, but it was still a nervous moment because it's iconic to me, and it's my first solo, my first lead in a Broadway musical. And also, are my parents going to have a stroke?
Yes.
They could have a stroke,
yeah.
Judy. They could have a stroke. What have I done?
Right.
Did I do the right thing? So I come out and nobody died, and they lived, and I didn't. My big thing was just don't bump into the furniture or break anything.
Yes.
This has been around a long time. This is a nice people's house over here in Chicago.
Yes, got you.
So then they call me at intermission. Christine, I don't believe we thought. What is this? Is Christine doing her act? Because then my mother thought, are we at a benefit? You know, is
Right.
it a benefit? Because why is Christine on the stage?
Yeah.
And like one time I did something at Avery Fisher Hall and everybody recreated their iconic moments on Broadway. Ellen Green sang Somewhere That's Green. And what's his name? Robert Morse sang I Believe in You. And Jerry
I love
Orbach
Robert,
sang,
yeah.
he sang Try to Remember. And Colm Wilkinson sang, you know, Bring Him Home. And Cheetah Rivera sang all that jazz. And Carol
Yes.
Lawrence sang, Andrew McCardle sang Tomorrow. And my mother was in the audience sweating bullets going, what the hell is Christine doing here? Well, she's going to perform. What the hell is she going to do?
So
she couldn't understand why I was present in an evening like that.
That's so
So I
funny.
ended up doing, of course, montages of all the women who couldn't be there, you know, and who would have sung their signature
How did you
songs.
know that you could do that? That you could...
I just got cast in Forbidden Broadway.
And that was it, and you learned.
They asked, what impressions do you do? And I said, I do my Sicilian grandmother. They said, can you do Carol Channing? I said, well, everybody does Carol Channing.
Yes.
And then they weren't as good back
And
then.
it's so funny that
know.
you went all over the country and the world, basically, doing Forbidden Broadway. Finally, you're in Detroit. The creator's like, all right, I want you to come to New York and be in the New York company. And
Actually, I was in Denver.
oh,
and then I heard
thought
that
it
they had-
said, oh,
Well, maybe it was
whatever.
a typo, but I was in
Okay.
Denver, and I heard that they had cast somebody, and he had said I'd be the next new person in the show. He put me in the show once there was an
Yeah.
opening, and I went, they cast somebody, and my friend went, oh, why didn't they cast you? He was the understudy.
Right.
He said you would have been perfect, and I'm dying on the inside. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you
He's
fucking
like,
yeah.
He's like, oh, I don't understand. So I got angry, and I never get angry. Really, I don't. I called up Gerard Alessandrini, and I said, oh, hi, Gerard, it's Christine. I'm in Denver, opening the show here in Denver, and I just want you to know that you had said, if there was an opening in New York, and I would love to go to New York. Just it's like I don't want you to think that I'm planning on being in Denver for a long time.
Only a woman
so freaking
would be,
apologetic. I know.
would be like, I'm really sorry to bother you. But a guy would be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I know.
You
Well,
fucking told me.
For me, it was that I felt the show.
But you had paid your dues.
I know. I
and-
just never believe I pay enough, right? You know what I mean? 'Cause
that's us. That's women.
But anyway, he said, well, Christine, actually, we would like you to be in the New York show. Everybody does the same Gerard Alessandrini impression. He has a very deep voice. And we'd like you to start in 2 weeks. We just wanted you to open the Denver show. So they weren't telling me
Yes.
that, by the way, if you open your
Denver show,
coming to
you're-
New York, they didn't want to distract me. But anyway, the first thing I do is call up my friend Michael Levine. I said, Michael, guess what? And he went, you're doing Forbidden Broadway in New York. I said, what? It was 3 minutes ago that I hung up the phone and got the offer, okay? I don't know how or what or who, but that's how that world...
And then it closed 2 months later.
It did.
Congratulations.
Yes, I know.
Congrats, showbiz.
Welcome to the theater.
This week's episode of It's Judy's Show with Judy Gold is sponsored by BetterHelp. And if you know me, which I think you do because you're listening to my podcast right now, you know that I am a big advocate for therapy. I think it benefits everyone. I think there's so many people who need it, who don't partake. It is so important for your emotional health and well-being. Therapy is fantastic. It is in every stretch of the imagination. And if you're thinking of starting therapy, please do it. But please give BetterHelp a try. It is entirely online. It's designed to be convenient. It's flexible. It suits your schedule. You fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. I have switched therapists in my life. I've had many, many therapists, and sometimes it's not a great fit for you, but don't give up. Therapy is beneficial. You can learn about yourself, you can process, and just be emotionally healthy. I'm telling you, do it. BetterHelp is great because, when I used to schlep to my therapist's office, it was so annoying. You have to do it, and you sit there and you wait, and then I'm telling you, doing it online is fantastic. And BetterHelp is amazing. I know a lot of people who've used it. So if you're thinking about therapy, go to BetterHelp.com. Let the gratitude flow. This is Gratitude Month, people. So you need to let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/JudyGold, JudyGold, today, and you will get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/JudyGold. You're welcome.
what do you think of Deborah Messing tweeting that the people in Hollywood who went to this Trump fundraiser should be blacklisted?
I don't believe in the word blacklist. They can go to whatever they want. I am not.
No, but she's getting, Trump, of course, is now failed actress. That's what,
Well, first of all,
I mean, I get.
All right. I think any of the people who cannot see his
harm.
What do you call it? Playground.
Antics.
Mentality and antics of trying to. I have called it since day one. I know you are, but what am I? Administration.
Oh,
right.
it's the.
When you see somebody say failed actress, the failing this, the failing that,
New York
you
Times.
cannot see that he is just playing low and dirty
just
and a
he's
child,
a fucking
and he is
toddler.
also. Look, you know what? Well, look, I thought because we could see through those cheap, childish tactics that it were safer. I would think if we had someone who was actually a better, more passive-aggressive a master, that we'd be in bad shape. But how could we be in worse shape?
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
I know that was a.
I don't know. I think that was a very stupid thing to say because you say first of all, you say the word list when Omarosa said it.
Yeah.
And she said, anyone who's ever wronged him is on a list. We are keeping names. Oh, my blood curdled.
Yes.
My blood curdled. This is not America.
This isn't. This is not
and
democracy.
Deborah Messing didn't understand what she was doing, I think. But what happens is with a lot of extremely passionate liberal people, what I find is that
the emotions
Ruth
take
Bader
over.
Ginsburg, they do. The emotions take over. She said it right. You have to talk to people like they're a child. And I don't mean talk down to them because you shouldn't talk down to a child. You have to talk slowly. You have to make sure they're understanding what you're saying. You have to see if they understand what you're saying.
Absolutely.
And see if there's a way to
And you have to
scratch the veneer.
connect. Yes.
And that's what you're trying to do. Connect and see if you can scratch the veneer. And if they can walk away from a conversation with you, still being who they are and believing what they believe, but having a question in their head, or at least liking you.
Yes. Liking, that's why comedy's so great. It's like you make them laugh, they love you, and then you say something and they're like, oh, never thought of that.
Absolutely. And so I feel bad, of course, because we all love Deborah Messing, and she has only the best intentions.
And just so fucking talented.
Of course. And you can't
do my podcast, Deborah.
Yes, do it. You just can't use a word like that.
Yes, you can't. And it's just that they can say pussy, grab your pussy, blah, 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 blah,
But the other thing is that, we're also living in a world where you are not allowed to fail once. You are not allowed to make a mistake once.
Absolutely.
Your life is taken away from you, and I don't like it when I see it on any side. Look, even... I hate to say it, even Bill O'Reilly, you know what I mean? Like, he had a string of things. So, but he did. But
the thing is the behavior. The behavior. If any of these people who behave like this were working at a company, they'd be fucking fired. Character matters. Why does it?
Well, it does. Character does matter.
And he seeps into the souls of the American people. Like, these disenfranchised people. All right. I spoke to a couple friends of yours. And by the way, you're coming back because
you're
Can
we come back here, though?
Yeah, absolutely. Next year, same time.
All right. Thank you. I would love to.
Because
you and I can't. We need to write down what we're going to talk about next,
and then we'll go off
because
on
we can't remember what the hell we just talked about.
Awful.
We have to write it down so that we can get back to the tangent that was the tangent from another tangent.
Yes. Now, Oprah on real estate.
Oprah. Oh, Oprah on real estate. Hold on. All right, hold on. You know me as a media mogul, the Oprah Winfrey Network. I am an Academy Award nominated actress. I am the spokesman for Weight Watchers WW. Bread. I love bread. I love bread so much, I renamed my boyfriend Breadman. But I have been branching out into real estate. I have decided I am going to start my own country. I am starting my own country. And the name of the country is Oklahoma. Now, how are we going to get people to live in Oklahoma? If you look under your seats, you will find the keys to your own
city. You get a city, and you get a city, and you get a city. Everybody gets a city in Oprah.
That is Rick Chrome who wrote that. By
I
the
love
way.
that.
wrote
Angela Lansbury as a sex hotline worker.
I can't remember it as something. I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Please come rub my handle or rub my spout. Something like that. I don't know.
You know, you talk about how you met Barbara Streisand, and as girls our age, growing up, there's nothing. There's
It's Santa
nothing.
Claus. It's freaking Santa Claus. It's Jewish Santa Claus.
Yes, and you talked about how you met her, and I met her too. And I was thinking, you know, you don't want to meet them because you want to keep the.
Yeah.
So I was at a thing for Michelle Obama at my friends who live in Hollywood who are wealthy, and she was there, and my friend Phil Rosenthal. Okay, we're
I
getting
know Phil Rosenthal.
Oh, you do?
How do I know Phil
He
Rosenthal?
created Every Realize Remy. Somebody feed Phil.
I don't know Phil Rosenthal.
Okay.
I know of Phil
Okay,
Rosenthal.
so Phil and
I'd like to
Monica,
know Phil Rosenthal.
he's the greatest
I want to
guy.
go eat with him.
Yeah, he's the greatest guy. He's so fun to go out to dinner with, and his wife is an angel, literally, and his kids are adorable. Okay, so he says to Barbara, "This is Judy Gold, very, very funny comedian." She's like, "Oh, hello," and I was like, "No, I don't want to meet you. I don't want anything." And I was producing Rosie when she came on Rosie, and I cried and cried and cried because Rosie was all of us, like meeting, you know, having your own show and having Barbara Streisand as a guest was like my biggest dream. But the talent she's tiny.
She's this little. I'm telling you, I hugged her. I thought she was going to break. She's this little, but she's a real movie star. Their face fills the screen in a way that is you can't. And you explain how and why, but
now,
it's just.
Can I just
star.
ask Barbara a question or two?
Yes. How can I help you?
Barbara, I'm a big fan of yours,
Thank you.
and your voice is fucking amazing.
It's just my voice. It's the way I sound.
Oh, I love you. So you're on social media, right?
I've become a fan of tweeting. I like to tweet.
And I've noticed, and this is Varla Jean Merman, who's a very talented drag queen, has it in a show, and that, you know, people who like the Kardashians have like tens of millions of followers, hundreds of millions of followers, actually, and you have under 1 million. And you're one of the greatest talents ever to exist. How do you feel about that?
I've always been a fan of quality. You know, less is more when there's quality to it. So I feel that the 1 million Twitter followers I have are people who enjoy and understand true, authentic forms of expression. Got me, honey.
I love it.
I don't know that I could rip.
Oh
like
my
Barbara,
God, it was great.
but-
Liza, I just have to, I'm going to ask you the final 2 questions that we ask on the podcast because I know you have to go to the library. And
I'm
like
performing at the library. Don't for a minute think that I'm just going to sit in the reference room.
that
and,
library is the most beautiful. Have you been there?
No, I
it's
can't wait.
so beautiful.
All right.
It's so beautiful.
Okay.
It's the Provincetown Library. I go there to work. It's so
Nice.
beautiful. Okay. So I was wondering if either Julie Andrews or Liza Minnelli could answer this question we ask all our guests. We're very pro mental health. Are you or have you ever been on antidepressants or in therapy?
I've just begun both in the past 2 months.
Julie, that's great.
Yes, you see, because I've never felt I needed either. What I do recommend is having a mentally crippling illness.
Yes.
That requires alone time with someone who likes to talk to you. And alone time with a little bottle of white pills.
Oh, that's wonderful. What can I ask what you're on?
Wellbutrin, I like that one.
Oh, yes, I'm on the Wellbutrin. I'm also, you know, I do the Wellbutrin with the Paxil, which is also known as Paxon, because I gained 30 pounds.
Paxil, it sounds like one of the Von Trapp children.
Yes, Paxil Von Trapp. We also ask, because the podcast is called Kill Me Now, because I literally say kill me now, like I can't stand, like things really aggravate me, especially like incompetence and lying and, you know. So I always ask my guests, such as Liza Minnelli or, you know, Bernadette Peters or Ethel Merman or Patti LuPone or even Gwen Verdon. I ask these women who have all not been my guests, what pisses you off more than anything? What makes you so fucking mad? And it could be anything. It could be a tip jar, or it could be, war. It could, like, you cannot fucking, ugh.
You know something, Judy? Listen to me. I don't get angry that often because I like to be happy.
Liza, you are. Yeah.
That's what makes me unhappy. Pisses me off. People who aren't happy. I mean, can't you just smile and be happy? And also, there's a disturbing lack of sequence in the world.
Yeah.
And that's why I love it here in Provincetown, because they know that that's just the happy fabric.
Yeah.
It's the happy fabric. And that's all. Just smile, darn you. Also, Wellbutrin makes me happy.
You don't really get angry?
I don't like to, unless the cell phones go off in the middle.
Oh, yes, that's a bad.
And the world goes round, and then suddenly, I don't like that.
Can you explain to the listeners what it feels like to be on stage and see someone take out their phone and look at it? The bright light shining on their face. And by the way, I'm just going to say one thing. I was doing a show in a theater, and the wife dragged the husband, and the husband took out an iPad. To watch a fucking football game. Go.
First thing I want to say is, what's an iPad? That's all I have to say. I have to go.
Okay. And by the way, I had Lorna Luft on, and
I love her so much.
she's amazing. Father Jewish, and she described Judy Garland as you describe her in this movie. That you were.
It's true though.
She was a kind,
funny.
Yeah. And they fucking destroyed.
Disappointed.
Yeah. And they destroyed her.
And it was a time. She was like the first megastar of that generation. The silent film stars were megastars, and a lot of them crashed and burned bad.
Yes.
Bad. But we don't remember them. She was the first that we remember because she was recorded in a way that got,
Yeah.
And she didn't know enough, and the people in her life didn't know
she
enough
was
to
such
say.
a baby.
Well, they didn't know enough to say, no, she's only doing 4 pictures this year,
Yes.
and like it or lump it.
Right. And don't put toothpicks in her nose.
Yeah, and they didn't know that because they really thought, what else is she going to do? And so I have to tell you, I went in really scared, and I came out very impressed. It had such
What's the name of the
grace
movie?
and poise. It's called Judy.
Judy. I got to get a poster of that
Yeah,
because my name's Judy.
you should. You should.
Christine, I cannot thank you enough. I could talk to you for 10
I would
more
love
hours.
to anytime.
And I just want to, can you just tell people where to find you?
Well, ChristinePedi.com.
P-E-D-I.
P-E-D-I. And then the Twitter is at Christine Pedi. And
You're on Sirius XM.
I'm on Sirius XM Radio every day.
You're producing. Are you going to be starring in this show as well?
The show
Everybody
is called
Rise?
Everybody Rise, and it's at Birdland on the September 20, 21, 24, and October 1st. Just go to the website.
Yeah.
And it's fabulous.
And you're producing and...
Well, yeah, sort
and
of. Yeah,
starring.
I mean, I'm helping Joe do
Yes.
everything in New York, so I guess that's what he's
Yeah.
calling me. And then I'm doing a show at the George Street Playhouse called The Last Days of Summer about
I know, I
a Jewish boy.
auditioned.
Oh, you did? Oh, well, I can't believe I got a part.
Did you get, what's her name?
I got the aunt,
Yeah,
the very Orthodox aunt. Sorry, I'm going to have to pretend to be Jewish.
you got it. You know why?
Why?
Because they wanted a soprano.
They wanted what?
A soprano.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And you're an alto.
But you said they wanted a soprano.
I know. I'm saying I didn't get. They were like, you did
They
great.
wanted the mother?
Yes, to
Oh,
be
they
a
want the
soprano.
mother to be a soprano and aunt to be an alto, and
Yeah.
I got the aunt. I
Yeah.
understand this all now. Look, I never get anything, so I'm new to this whole world.
That play is so great, and
Is
I'm
it?
so happy for you.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yeah, you're going to have so much fun. And it's
And
going to go to Broadway.
It's the
okay.
first time I'm ever having a costume made for me from scratch.
That's awesome. You deserve it.
First
You're
time.
so fucking talented.
You're
All
so
right.
sweet. Thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you.
And I do my Christmas show every year, at Feinstein's.
Yes,
it's called
go see
Snow
it.
Business. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Because you heard Liza Minnelli sing
Yes.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Hilarious.
So that's great fun.
All right.
But
And as
anyway.
we always say, so long.
Goodbye.
And everything was wonderful. I'll see you soon. Thank you for the visit. So long.